What's up, guys? Lance, the Obscure Movie Guy, coming to you once again with 3 more titles that you guys should definitely be watching in lieu of everything else going on in the world right now, because every day gets crazier and crazier out there, doesn't it? Texas isn't frozen anymore. Let's see, Coke is now woke, and we are back to airstriking Syrian forces, and cops stepped on somebody else's neck again. So, world's crazy. So let's try and not pay attention to that crap, because that just causes arguments and more strife in the world. Let's watch some weird, crazy movies. And today we're going to be talking about martial art movies, because there's a freaking ton of them out there. And why not, man? I love martial art movies. I remember growing up as a kid, WNUV TV 54 in Baltimore had Black Belt Theater every Saturday, and I would watch the crap out of them things. And martial art movies, man, there are just a boatload of them out there, and there's ones that everybody should have seen by now. Enter the Dragon, Bloodsport. These are things that people should have watched. But we're not here to talk about stuff that you have already seen. We're here to talk about the stuff that you should see that's very underrated. And gonna kick it off with 1989's Best of the Best. Man, I love this movie. This is a great flick right here. Eric Roberts, James Earl Jones, Chris Penn. And then Philip and Simon Rhee, who are brothers. Simon actually is a pretty... he's not very well known. He's not like a major actor or anything like that, but he's in a lot of mainstream stuff as uncredited extras or stunt coordinators or fight choreographers. And his brother, actually, Best of the Best, went on to be a small franchise. They actually ended up having 4 films, but 2, 3, and 4 were not anything like the original Best of the Best. But it is about the U.S. Taekwondo team taking on the Korean Taekwondo team in the Taekwondo Nationals. And actually really good movie, really underrated. Very, very touching storyline at the end between Philip Rhee and Simon. They're brothers in real life, but they don't play brothers in the movie. In fact, they play antagonist and protagonist. Simon actually ends up killing Tommy, is the character's name, Tommy's brother, and Tommy wants vengeance. When it comes down to it, he could have killed him, but he didn't, and it's pretty touching at the end, and really a good message at the end, just bringing everybody together, and really fun watching Eric Roberts kick ass. Chris Penn, man, I miss that guy. He was a lot of fun. Good old Texas boy is what he was in the movie. But good flick, man. Really, really is. It's really underrated. If you're gonna watch a martial arts flick that's a little off the cuff, that's definitely a good one to pick. The next one I want to talk about is 2003, Time Cop 2. Now, this is a sequel to Jean-Claude Van Damme's 1995 Time Cop. But doesn't star Jean-Claude Van Damme. In fact, it has very little to do with the original movie, with the exception of that there is a police force that, watches over people traveling back in time and altering the future. Or changing the past, however you want to look at it. The Time Cop 2 stars Jason Scott Lee, made famous by doing Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. You can't really see it, but there's Bruce Lee. Not Jason Scott Lee, no relation. But Jason Scott Lee played Bruce Lee in Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. He also did the live-action Jungle Book in 1994. He also played a badass character in Soldier with Kurt Russell. That was a cool movie. But it also stars Thomas Ian Griffith, who hasn't really done a whole lot of stuff in the last 10 years or so, but he's most notably Terry Silver from Karate Kid Part 3, and he is, again, a legit martial artist. And a fun fact about Jason Scott Lee actually, obviously everybody thinks because you're Oriental, you probably know martial arts, but Jason Scott Lee didn't actually know any martial arts until he actually did Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. He actually learned a little bit for that particular flick. And obviously he's kept practicing throughout the course of his career, and did really well. But Time Cop 2, a lot of fun to watch. Like I said, if you've ever seen Time Cop, it wasn't one of Van Damme's best flicks. It actually did pretty well at the box office, but I was never a huge fan of it. But popular enough to garner a sequel, and there was actually a Time Cop TV series that didn't last long. I think it ran for like 9 episodes, but they did try getting one off the ground because Time Cop was so successful. Time Cop TV series actually starred Don Stark, who was Bob in that 70s show, Red's neighbor. And then the last one I want to talk about is going to be a Van Damme movie. It's hard to not have a Van Damme movie in a martial arts episode. So, and I know I talk about Van Damme a lot, but I mean, let's be honest, the guy is like king of obscure movie titles that a lot of you guys have never seen, and I'm a huge fan of him, so we're probably going to end up talking about more of his movies in the future. But 1998 Knockoff. This was Van Damme's like last real major theatrical release in the United States before he pretty much went to a straight to DVD type career. 1998 was a pretty feeble attempt. He obviously had problems in the mid-90s. A lot of his movies were kind of turning into crap. He had drug issues. In fact, during the filming of Knockoff, I think he was even incarcerated by the Hong Kong police for indecent exposure. I'm not real sure on the details of that one, but filming did get delayed for a little while because of that. But really, it's not a bad movie, and it's kind of fun to watch. The second director on the movie was actually Sammo Hung, and anybody that knows anything about martial arts knows who Sammo Hung is. You've all seen him. He's the big dude who can kick ass. He's best friends with Jackie Chan, and being that he was second director in the for the film, it actually does show. It definitely has a very Hong Kong Jackie Chan type feel to the movie. The way the cinematography is, the dubbing that they do, some of the fight scenes. You know, Jackie Chan was having a lot of success at the time. Rumble in the Bronx had come out in 1994, and that kind of kickstarted, not his career, but kind of re-kickstarted it in the U.S. You know, and after that, there was a lot of films that tried to replicate that Rumble in the Bronx type feel. And Knockoff was one of those films that, like I said, with the cinematography and the type of fighting style and dubbing that they did, it was all very reminiscent of that. Problem is the story suffered a little bit, I think, because of editing. There was a lot of the movie that was edited out. And props to Rob Schneider. Rob Schneider's actually in the movie as well. For some reason, Rob Schneider in the mid-90s, we all know him for SNL, where I think he was on like 80 episodes of Saturday Night Live, but he found his way into these weird action movies as like the sidekick. He did Knockoff, and then a few years before that, he was in Judge Dredd as Dredd's, comic relief. So I don't know how Rob Schneider got into doing this, but he plays a CIA agent who has to hook up with Jean-Claude Van Damme, who I guess he's like an import-export type guy, brings in knockoffs like jeans, shoes, cheeseball clothes, sells them, at a high price. It's Gucci, but it's not, that type of thing. But, it's not a bad movie, but a lot of it was edited out towards the end, especially the last couple of fights with Van Damme. They were heavily edited in, which was really too bad, too, because you can actually catch the uncut versions of those fights, I think, in the UK release of the DVD. I don't think it's on the United States version, but Sammo Hung did a lot of the fight choreography for those final fights between, I can't even remember their names. One guy was Australian, I'm not sure who they were. Michael Miller, I think. And Jeff something else. They weren't really like major characters, but they are stuntman and martial artists. But Sammo Hung had done a lot of the fight choreography for it. And I guess the movie just ran too long for what they wanted in the theaters, and a lot of those fights had gotten edited so bad that I think it actually hindered the film a little bit. And unfortunately, it didn't do well at the box office. But, I mean, it's really a good 90s action flick. It really is. It's a lot of fun to watch. And Rob Schneider, he's, a lot of people give him grief, but he's got good screen chemistry with just about anybody that he's been on screen with. I mean, we know he does well with Saturday Night Live and does well with the Adam Sandler movies. But, going up against powerhouses like Sylvester Stallone and Jean-Claude Van Damme, he's got a lot of good chemistry with guys like that. It works well on screen. So, the movie, I think, deserves a little bit more credit than what it gets. But it is too bad that Sammo Hung, even though he was the second director, a lot of his stuff was not involved with the movie. I think it really would have helped the movie. I think it would have helped it a lot. But still, all these movies, man, they're worth the 90 minutes to watch. Mindless entertainment, and I think that's really what the world needs right now. Things are just getting so stupid out there. So, that's my take on martial art movies. And probably be doing a lot more of them, because there's so many martial art movies out there. And I've got a bunch of them. But best of the best. Great flick. Time Cop 2, Jason Scott Lee. Check that out. And Knock Off. Guys, like, subscribe, and comment to the YouTube channel. Please like, share, and let me know what you think in the comments. I know you guys have seen some martial art movies. Tell me which ones are your favorites. Tell me if you guys have seen any of these, and I'll see you in the next video.